If you're short on time but love making stunning decor, this is the video for you. On today's video, we are going to be making 7 stunning spring decor thrift flips in a short amount of time. I think you're going to love these projects. Let's go ahead and get started. JRV just released 5 stunning new spring decor papers. The first one is Antique Rabbits. This one is the Nesting Robins. Then we have the Rose Vignettes, followed by the Pink Rose Wallpaper, and then the Good Shepherd paper. I'm also going to be showing you 2 of my favorite JRV Spring Bunny papers. These are ones that I've already had in my collection, but this one is the 4 bunnies. And the next one is the ephemeral bunny. These are all gorgeous papers, and we're going to be using some of them in our next few projects. The first project is going to be a piece of artwork that can either be a little shelf sitter or can be hung. This was a box that was in my closet, had a few miscellaneous things, but I thought it would be a fun piece to make over. So the first thing I did is I tore off that tag, and then I took out the Nesting Robins paper, and I wanted to make the edges look a little bit torn, so I'm just taking a little water on my paintbrush, and I'm going to wet the edges so that it will tear and give a little rough edge versus just a straight edge. So when I go to decoupage it on the paper, it will look a little bit more unique. I then took out my crinoline DIY paint. This is a gorgeous off-white paint. It's a creamy off-white with a yellow undertone. That's what it looks like to me, but it's a very beautiful color. I'm now giving it a coat of paint. The bottom part of this box is where the artwork is going to go, and it's not going to be a box anymore. This is going to be the front of the artwork. So I just gave it a coat of paint, and then I'm going to let it dry. I then decoupaged this paper onto this wooden piece. However, somehow I lost that footage, so sorry about that, but you will see how to do that later. I now took out that crinoline again, and I'm just pouncing or dabbing that paint onto the paper. It's a thick clay-based paint, so I'm trying to build up a little bit of texture so you can't see the line where the paper and the wood meets. Because it is a thick paint, you can easily build up texture with this paint. And that's all I'm doing here. I'm just coming down and I'm just blending it into the paper so that it looks like one complete piece of artwork. I'm then going to take some other paint from Rethunk Junk just because it was the color that matched this artwork, and I'm just going to go along the edges with that color and just blend the 2 colors together. I wanted to take a second to introduce myself. My name is Emily. I'm with J. Bowen & Company. If this is your first time that you've been here, I'm so happy that you are here. So welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. It really means a lot that you are choosing to spend your time with me here today. We're going to have a lot of fun. I think you're really going to enjoy these projects. I'm going to teach you some blending techniques, some decoupage, a fun little nest project, and just much more to come. So y'all stick around. I think you're really going to enjoy these projects today. DIY is a water-based clay paint, so it has to be sealed, because if you don't seal it, it is water activated and the paint would just come right off if it gets wet. So here is a close-up of that texture so you can see how by pouncing your brush, you get a nice texture, even without adding a texture additive to the product. So this is how it is looking. And then the next thing I'm going to do is, after it dries, I'm going to take this brush, which already has a little bit of Fusion dark wax on it, and I'm mixing it with some DIY wax just to seal the paint up and then just add an extra layer of protection. If you put just plain dark wax, it's going to be very, very dark like that. You see how it got dark really quick? It got dark in a hurry. A little bit too dark, but it's going to work just fine. So now I'm just going around the edges with the clear wax and the dark wax, and I'm just blending them together, and I'm just giving it a little bit darker and richer color, because the wood kind of looks a little bit on the cheaper side. I think it looked a little bit on the cheaper side, and I'm just kind of richening up the color. It's that kind of wood that's very, very lightweight. I don't even really know what kind of wood that is, but you know, you see stuff these days. And now I'm just going back with a little bit more of the wax. And now for the final reveal. Let me know what you think of this first project and the texture on the project. If you like this first one, give me a thumbs up in the comments. The next project is this mail holder, mail organizer that I painted a good while back, years ago. I had it in my booth and it never sold. I couldn't remember the color, but I believe after doing a little test, it is the true gray color from Rethunk Junk. So I did a little test there to see which one it was, and this was the closest. So I believe this is the actual paint that I used. It had that gorgeous stamp on there, but it just didn't sell, so I thought that I would make it over. So I'm just giving it a quick coat of the paint. I then pulled out the Birdsong Mould by IOD on Orchid Designs, and I decided to make a casting of one of these birds to add to this piece so that it would look a little bit more springy. Plus it can be used year-round. Birds are really popular, and I love birds as well. So after I made the casting, I then took out my Tite bond quick and thick, and I gave it a coat of it on the back. I completely forgot to spread it around with my finger, so you're going to see me lifting it up and spreading it around. I had a long day at work today, and I think I was just daydreaming about things. But you want to make sure that you cover the back of your mold and then press it down so it fully adheres to your piece. I'm now just wiping away some excess glue that came out from underneath the bird when I pressed it down. I'm now going over this piece one more time with the Rethunk Junk Paint. If y'all are enjoying this video and you would like to purchase any of these products that you're seeing on this video, from the Rethunk Junk Paint, the DIY paint, all of the waxes, the paint brushes, all of these items, along with the IOD products and the JRV papers, can be found on my website. I will put a link in the description to all of these products so that if you wish to purchase them, it will be very easy for you to purchase, and then I'll just get them sent right out to you. I really appreciate all of your support and all of your purchases in the past. I added some of the Fusion aging wax just to bring out the details in the mold, and also to darken up the paint a little bit because it was slightly lighter than the paint that was already on the piece. And I'm wondering if that's either because I might have put a wax on it before, but probably because it just is a little bit older paint. I like how the bird updated the piece, and also it makes it more of a year-round decor item that's also functional. So if you like this piece and this quick turnaround, give me a thumbs up. And y'all, I want to know which one of these projects is your favorite. So after you watch all the projects, make sure that you tell me which one is your favorite one. I think that this will be perfect for a homework station where the kids can put their homework that they're working on during the week. Next few projects are going to be quick and easy, so y'all stick around and watch these projects. I think you're going to enjoy them. This is a vintage frame that I had thrifted a while back for just a couple bucks. It was up in my attic. It's actually been in my attic quite a while. I see it all the time, but I really didn't want to sell it. So this will be the perfect project for me to keep in my home for a little bit of vintage looking Easter decor. So I'm taking out this antique rabbit paper. I love this paper. You get two different images. You could frame them at once. I think that might be a little weird to do that, but I think it's better to make two different projects out of this piece. You could put them both in one frame, but I think it looks a little bit better separated. I just cleaned it up, and then I took out this prairie gray color and I just gave it a quick coat of paint. You can see a little bit of a water stain on the back, but I didn't think that was any big deal, so I'm just going to paint right over it with this prairie gray from DIY Paint. This is a really thick paint. A little bit goes a long way, and it's very easy to paint. It's got great coverage. It's highly pigmented, so it gives you a lot of color. So after I did that, I decided to pull out my faded burlap. This is a lighter, more like a sandy type color, beigey type color, where the prairie gray is more like a taupey type color. And what I'm doing is I'm just blending these two colors together. When I was doing this, it reminded me of those Olin Mills photos back when in the 80s, when people would get those done, and maybe in the 90s too. I don't know, do people still get their pictures taken anymore, professional pictures where you have these backgrounds that were kind of painted looking like this in the background. So I'm just kind of blending them together, so it just kind of gives a little bit more interesting background than just one color. So after I did that, I set that aside and let it dry. And then the next thing I did is I took out this is the liquid patina. It's a sealer, but it's also a decoupage medium. This is by DIY Paint. And I am giving it one coat of this decoupage gel or liquid patina. And then I'm going to take that paper right there. It's a rice paper, JRV Antique Rabbit paper. And then I'm just using my hands to press it down. This paper is a good thickness. It's very easy to use. You're not going to hardly get any wrinkles with it just because the nature of the paper. A lot of times when I decoupage, I use just printer paper sometimes, and that gives you more wrinkles than this. So after I had it down, I then just went over it again with this liquid patina. And that will seal the clay-based paint. It will seal the DIY paint in, as well as it will seal the image. Have you heard that the new Orchid Designs spring release is on February 13th? If you haven't, now you've heard the good news. I cannot wait to share them with you, and I think you're going to love them and find something that you can't live without. I then took out my aging wax again, and I gave it a quick coat of the aging wax just to antique this picture up a little bit and make it just look more aged and unique, and I think it did the trick. I wiped off the excess wax, and then I put it back into that frame. And I'm going to show you what the two pictures look like together. The second part of the antique rabbit, you're going to see the difference in the coloring right here. Let me show you what that looks like. You see what a difference? It looks like how much older and antique it looks. I love how this project turned out. And y'all don't forget, if you want to purchase these papers or any of the products, you can find them in my description. I have them linked individually. Besides the papers, I have them just listed as the JRV papers. The next project that we will be making is a little piece of artwork using the ephemeral bunny JRV paper. This is going to be a fun little colorful piece of art. So I find these canvases at thrift stores for free. And back when I was in college, I was getting a degree in studio art. We often repainted over paintings all the time. Sometimes students would leave them, other students would leave them, and there was always a stack of artwork that we could choose from that we could either, paint on top of, or just, we called it gesso because there was a product called gesso that we would paint on top. It's like a primer basically. We would paint it on top of a painting, and it would create this white background so you could have a new canvas to work on. So a lot of my pieces of art that I have from when I was in college were just painted over other artwork. So after I let it dry, I then took out my liquid patina. I gave it a quick coat of the liquid patina. I then added this sheet of paper, the JRV ephemeral bunny paper. I'm using my brayer to take out any wrinkles, but really it's really easy not to get any wrinkles with this kind of paper. Sometimes I use printer paper and that gets a lot more wrinkles than this. This hardly gets any wrinkles at all. You can basically use your hands and it's just fine. And then I took out the liquid patina again, and I gave it another coat of the liquid patina just to seal in that paper. I had this frame left over from whenever I took over my booth with the Rethunk Junk Paint. It had already been painted with one of the bright pink colors, but I wanted to tone it down and give it a little bit more character for this particular project. So I took out my Fusion Aging Wax and I just covered it with the wax and I wiped it off just to give it a little bit of extra character. I'm now tearing off the excess part of the paper that hung over, and now I'm just going to put it in that frame. And this was a very fast and quick piece of artwork, and now it'll be fun to have for spring. This is a fun little project that I make. I like to make these little containers for my booth. I like to sell them in my booth. I've made several of these, or many of these, over the years using different kind of containers. Sometimes I use teacups, sometimes I use little bowls, all kinds of things. But what I'm doing here is I thrifted these little silver bowls. They were a little bit messed up, so it wasn't something that I would really want to sell as is. They were a little scratched and they're not the nicest of little bowls, but I thought they would be perfect to make over for this project, and this is why I purchased them for just a few cents at the thrift store. So I took out my Robin's Egg Blue by Rethunk Junk. This paint has a built-in primer and it has a top coat sealer in it, so you don't have to seal this. So I just gave it a couple of coats of paint. I am going to go back with some of that aging wax just to make it look a little bit more antique-y looking. It's not going to change it too much, but it just gives it a little bit more aged look. And we are going to be making these little bird's nests. So I went up to my attic because a couple years ago I bought a ton of these eggs from Hobby Lobby. So I knew I had a bunch of them. I didn't even get to them last year, I don't think so, because I'd made quite a few the year before, and I still had some in my booth. Believe it or not, they sell year-round. I'll stick them in here if I can find a picture of the ones that I made in the past. But all you're going to do is just give your container a little bit of the aging wax just to age it up. It's okay if some of the silver comes through. That's just character. And then you're going to take out some moss. I have this green moss that I'm using. I want to tell y'all a quick little story. So my dad grew up in South Texas, down by the coast, about an hour from the coast. So the weather there was more like Florida weather. It's warm most of the time. So when springtime came and it was time for Easter, there were always a ton of wildflowers growing. So my dad told me that him and his mom, and he had 3 siblings, 2 brothers and a sister, still has them, but he's the baby of the family, and they would go out to these fields and they would cut down all these wildflowers and kind of plants and things and wildflowers, and when they would come back, they would make these beautiful big nests out of these wildflowers. And that is and Spanish moss. I believe they use Spanish moss too, because I think they had that there. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure they got Spanish moss and wildflowers, and they just made these huge nests. And that's what the Easter bunny would come and lay all the eggs in. So that's what this kind of reminds me of. So he would tell me that, the day before, so they'd make these beautiful nests, and then the Easter bunny would come and lay all the eggs in that. So that's kind of just a fun little thing. So you're just going to add the moss, hot glue it, add the eggs, hot glue them. It's really easy. I usually sell these little nests for $7.99. They start at $7.99, and just depending on what the teacup looks like or the container, they go up from there. So what do y'all think about these cute little bird nests? Have you ever made them before? Would you make them? If y'all have not subscribed to my channel yet, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. I'm really trying to grow my channel, and I'm hoping to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of March. So share this video with someone who might like it, and please subscribe if you would like. And here are some of the other little bird's nests that I've made in teacups. What do y'all think about those? Aren't they cute? Okay, so the next project I'm calling the French Rabbit tray, because there is a rabbit on it with the French word for rabbit. Originally, I painted it in off-white chalk paint, and then I just stamped that rabbit on it. It is from the Farm Animal IOD stamp set. I thought I would show you this piece because I thought that you might be interested in purchasing that stamp for Easter, because it is a great bunny image. You can use it multiple times and it will just be perfect for this time of year. So I wanted to go ahead and showcase it on this video. So I decided to make it over. I thought it was just a little bit boring, so I pulled out that robin's egg glue again from Rethunk Junk Paint, and I decided to paint around the edges of this tray and the handles. But after I did that, I thought that it was still lacking a little bit, so I decided to go back and paint the inside of that tray as well, the inside rim of that tray. I received an interesting comment lately. Someone was saying that they were led to believe that hand painting was no longer in style, and everyone was just pushing these stamps and molds and transfers and things like that, and that she likes to hand paint. Well, I wanted to address that. I love to hand paint too. It is so much fun to hand paint. I like to paint flowers. I'm really good at realistic things. I like abstract and all this kind of thing like that. However, at this stage in my life, I am very, very busy, so I don't have a lot of time. So these products are amazing, an amazing way to create a beautiful project without spending a lot of time. I then had the idea to take out the golden ticket. It is a gold paint from DIY Paint, because this robin's egg blue just reminded me of that French style that has the gold and the light blue. I thought that would look really cool with that. So I just decided to paint over the edge with the gold, and then I still thought it needed a little something extra, and I had been dying to try out the Pent Art Fine Line Crackle. However, when I received it, my bottle was defective, so I sent it back, and I am awaiting my new crackle. So when I receive it, I will feature this on an upcoming video. Now you've seen me use these decoupage papers to actually decoupage them onto different items to make little pieces of artwork. But if you are short on time, you can also just take a vintage frame or any frame that you have that you like, and you can just simply frame these papers and they look great. They look like a neat piece of artwork. You can have them for one season or all seasons. Or if you have a favorite frame, you can just change them out for the season. So I took this really cool gold vintage frame and I just cleaned it up, and then I just cut out this Good Shepherd paper and then I framed it. That's all you have to do. And then all of a sudden you have a really neat, unique piece of artwork for your home. Or if you want to sell it in your booth, you can sell it in your booth as well. I usually sell framed pieces of art like this for anywhere between $19.99 and $24.99, and they sell all the time for me. So just an idea, you can either use it for your own home decor or you can make a little bit of money off of it. Tell me what you think about this very easy vintage framed print. Now check out my latest video that I most recently made, or choose the one that Facebook recommends for you.